Okay, so lesson 2, we are starting factoring quadratic expressions. So what we're going to do is, number 1, I want you to start off by multiplying that out. So we're going to use this to kind of help us go through and see how we can factor. As we factor, it's undoing the multiplication that we were talking about through the polynomial work. So when we put that thing into standard form, we get this quadratic trinomial, 5v squared plus 42v plus 49. So what we want to do then is, from this point on, from questions 2, well, forever now, we want to take these trinomials and somehow rewrite them into a product of those two quantities. How can we make this look like that? So to do that, well, what we do then is make sure that everything is in standard form. ax squared plus bx plus c. If you're not in standard form, you got to make sure you rearrange it. Well, we're good to go. So on the second thing is, I'd like you to identify a, b, and c. Again, a is the coefficient of the quadratic term, b is the coefficient of the linear term, c is the coefficient of the constant, or I shouldn't say coefficient, it's just the constant. All right, what we're going to do then is list out factors of 5. So what I mean by that is numbers that multiply to give you 5. And the reason why I'm doing that is, when I go back and look at question 1, in order to kind of take this backwards, we're looking to see how is that 5v squared being created. So when I look backwards in our steps, 5v squared was created through multiplication. So to undo 5 there, we have to list out our factors of numbers that give you 5. And then I do the same thing for the 30. Because when I go back up to the previous example, the 49 was also created through multiplication, 7 times 7. So to get that 30, we list out the factors of 30. Now 30 has quite a few. 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 5 and 6. One of those possibilities is going to be correct here, but we got to figure out which combination is going to work. Now, I will never list out the factors of the linear coefficient, 53. The reason is, when I go back up and look at the 42 was created then through addition. You did some multiplication, but then you did addition. So I will never list out the factors of 42, or the linear coefficient, because that is created through addition. What I want to keep in mind then is, for that 53, how is that 53 getting created? And what I mean by that is, once we've got our factors listed out for A and C, we are going to start creating our two quantities. The A starts it off. That A of 5x squared gets split up into 5x and 1x. Now, before I go and start picking out pairs of numbers to put in these two locations, I also want to keep in mind my signs. So I ask you, how do we get a multiplication of a positive 30? The only way a positive 30 happens is if these signs are the same, both pluses or both minuses. To determine which one I use, I go back and look at the polynomial. There's no negatives at all in there, so what that means then is I'm going to choose the ones that are pluses. So I'm going to put the pluses in there. Now after that, I need to go ahead and what we call guess and check. The way that we go about factoring here is a process we call guess and check. You're literally going to make a guess using one of these pairs, plug them into one of these locations, and then you're going to go through and distribute, just like we did up there, to see if that 53 for the linear coefficient appears or not. If it appears, great, we made a good guess. If it does not, we got to try it again. So some of you will get frustrated, as I said, with this problem because the first few times through may not be very quick. Your guesses may not be great, but it does get better assuming you try them out, check your answers. It does get better over the next few days. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and try a combination of 3 and 10. I'm going to go ahead and just say put the 3 there and the 10 there. So that's my guess. Now I have to check it. And again, I check it by doing my distribution, 5x squared plus 15x, then I distribute the 10, and then 30. Now, every single time A and C will appear. Those should always be correct unless you're just royally screwing it up and not paying attention. What I'm focusing on is, do those linear terms combine together to give me, in this case, 53. If it does, I'm cool. If it does not, well, that guess was not very good. 15 plus 10 is 25, and of course that is not 53. So my first guess was not correct. So what that means is 3 and 10 might be working. I just put them in the wrong locations. So then I'm going to go ahead and flip them. All right, I flipped them, and then I'm going to go back around and check my multiplication again. So when I go through and check my multiplication again, all right, you're going to get, again, very good at distributive property. 5x squared is there, 50x, 3x, and 30. A and C, again, are always going to appear there. I'm focusing on these two terms, these two linear terms to give me 53. 50x plus 3x does give me 53x. And so what that means then is I am good to go, that this was then factored finally. The other possibilities are not going to work. 3 and 10 is the only combination that's going to work, the 3 in that position, the 10 in that position. Once we find our pair that works, we're good to go. Nothing else does.